Howdy, it's Jim Morado, and this is roughly July, August 2022, as I'm driving through pretty much the Berea College campus in Berea, Kentucky. I've put up several videos about Berea, but I wanted to make one. I realized I had a lot of pictures and even some old postcards in my own private collection showing some of the buildings on campus and how they've changed. I thought I would put up a quick video, another video about Berea. I've got other ones on this channel, feel free to check them out, but I thought I would try to put up just a video kind of looking at some of the buildings and trying to find an old picture or two of them and then showing what they look like now. And if you've been through Berea, and especially if you're on the campus, you know that it's been evolving. I think if somebody hadn't been to the campus since the 1950s and they showed up and they looked at it today, they'd probably still recognize it as the Berea College campus. But the buildings have changed mostly, and some have been updated and upgraded. There's Boone Tavern. I believe it's looked pretty much the same, at least on this side of it. They've kind of maintained a certain look. They have upgraded it in some of the rooms. I know where they've obviously, I think in 2011 they did a major upgrade. But I think the campus still looks like the campus, but it's also in other ways evolved. So I was here myself in the 90s. I met my wife here. I got my degree from here, and I love the place. So anyway, I'm just going to put up a video, probably 4 or 5 minutes in. I'll start trying to do some before and after pictures and video. But I thought I would show a couple of the newer things on campus. They've got this big observation tower. I think it's 74 or 78 steps to get to the top. I counted the other day. It was in the 70s. But you get to the top and you can kind of look out over the whole campus. 74 steps. Well, at least part of the whole campus anyway. It gives you a good view of the area. But it's newer. This was not here when I was here back in the 90s. I'm thinking it's only been there for maybe 10, 15 years. I could be off on that. But it gives you a good look. There's the look down that big observation tower. But it's a newer structure, and it's right by the old gym, if that helps any. But I think that's pretty cool. I like that they've done this. And like I said, it gives you a good view of the entire campus. And again, I was here in the 90s. That's pretty. Check that out. My wife and I both worked at Boone Tavern. I ended up, she stayed at Boone Tavern all 4 years and was a student manager. I ended up, I got a job as a janitor, then a monitor and an assistant head resident. Worked in the dorms, and I enjoyed that quite a bit. We both still love Boone Tavern, though. In fact, I'm going to put up a separate video on Boone Tavern. We stayed there recently. And, I'll talk a little bit more about its history and changes in another little video. But just a great view of campus and parts of it. And of course, there's a girls' dorm over kind of to the left. The old college post office used to be in that same building. It's since moved to the old gym. I believe it's still there. I know the last time I checked, the college post office was in the old gym, which is attached to this observation tower. And of course, in that little field kind of behind us, or in front of us, field hockey, soccer, some of that stuff was played. And though I really never went to see any of the sports when I was in college. And there's a look at that tower from the outside. Little fountain there is not odd, and we're close to the alumni building. And there's the old gym. And maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I was in there, and they had moved the college post office to this building, which is a good place for it. And since we're over by it, right there on the left is the girls' dorm that's Fairchild. And I didn't videotape it from the front, but there's a picture. There's a pretty decent picture that I took probably sometime in the last decade of Fairchild. So a fairly modern look at it. And a popular girls' dorm. I knew a lot of people that lived there. And there's a postcard from I believe the 1950s, maybe around 1953, from my private collection, showing that dorm, giving you a rough idea of what it might have looked like in the 50s on that linen postcard, which I think is just really attractive. And there's a photo book in Boone Tavern, and that's a photograph I took of a photograph. I think it's labeled Ladies Hall, and I'm going to guess that's probably from the 1910s, to give you an old look at that dorm, which is great. And moving along, there's the Dick Tree, and I don't believe that's the original Dick Tree. I think that one blew down when I was a student there. Feel free to insert your own joke. And there's the President's House. Pretty much modern day look at the President's House, President of Berea College. And framed inside of Boone Tavern is a picture of the President's House. Not sure when this is. I would guess 70s maybe. I don't think it was dated, but there's an older look at the President's House. And also in one of the albums at Boone Tavern, there's a look out of the President's, I guess from the back area of the President's House, similar to what you would see in the alumni, or outside the alumni building. And then here's an old postcard, I believe that's also from Boone Tavern, showing John G. Fee's house and a shot of the President's house. And I'm going to guess that's a really old picture, but I don't know the date for sure. And continuing on, we're kind of walking in a path here, so most of what I'm showing you is kind of next to what I just showed you. But this is the home management house. It was a girls' dorm when I went there. I was actually the best man in a wedding behind that dorm. I don't have any old photos of it, though. And the next dorm is Elizabeth Rogers. Yeah, and that was the chimes at 9 o'clock. And now we're at Presser Music Hall. And I definitely never had a class in here that I can remember, but I remember being in here for some programs. Yeah, there's a postcard of Presser Music Hall, and I believe that one is from the 50s. I remember they did a haunted house here at Halloween, too, that was pretty cool. But definitely wasn't a music major myself. And there is a building right next to Presser, and I don't really know a lot about it. There it is. And I did find an old photo at Boone Tavern, and they had an old photo of the same building, and it's labeled as Knapp Hall. And I just there it is, just for the sake of putting it there. Sorry about the shadows on the pictures too, by the way. And we're about to go over by the art building, another building that I never had a class in, but I was there a time or two. I know at one time I've always painted toy soldiers, and I was trying to make molds and do castings of lead soldiers at one time, and I know somebody told me to go and find a professor here, and I went looking for him, but I never found him. And anyway, a friend and I tried one night to using plaster of Paris and some lead out of a hot plate. We tried to make make some little tin soldiers, and the mold blew up on us. Luckily nobody got liquid lead on them, but we abandoned that effort. And just a funny personal story. And of course Berea is a very pretty campus. They've got all these great flowers. It's just a pleasant place to walk around. Check that out. And we're coming up over here by pretty much by the big building that houses the library. I always loved this library. It's cavernous, and I found a ton of books in there. I had a good time searching for books. Love that library. And there at the far end on the right, kind of right behind me right now, is the old computer center. I don't know what they use it for now, but back before everybody had a laptop, you had to go in there. I think they had about one computer for every 3 students at the computer center. And of course, before finals and all that, the computer center could get very crowded, and you had to really get there and claim your computer quick. Of course, that's not an issue now. But yeah, huge library. Kind of up by the front part of the library, they put this labyrinth in, and I like that. I always walk it when I come to Berea to walk. I just think that's kind of cool. Oh, and there's Bingham Dorm. That's Bingham. It's been rebuilt. I spent about a year or so here. I was a janitor at one time and really liked this dorm. It was the men's study dorm when I was here, and they have rebuilt it. Yeah, so that's what it looks like. That's what it looked like now. Here's what it used to look like. And I was here for a year or two anyway. I remember we had this dorm used to raise money to help kids that might otherwise not have a good Christmas have a Christmas. Great program. Keith Bullock was the head resident when I lived here, and he was for a while, and he was a lot of fun. And a nice little garden pond area behind the Draper building. I always love stopping there when I'm walking around campus. And we're about to go by one of my other dorms, Danforth. I was a monitor here and an assistant head resident. That's what it looks like now. They recently rebuilt it, and I had a really good time here. Israel Ray worked here with me. Spencer Taylor was the head resident. We had a good time together. Really enjoyed working at this dorm and living at this dorm. I think I mentioned on my other video, it's one of the few places in my life. They knocked it down and they were rebuilding it. There's a picture of the rebuild. I was cleaning a dorm up late one night, and thought I could hear some voices. One of the few times in my life I've experienced that. I'm not saying the dorm was haunted, but it did creep me out. One of the few times in my life I've had a moment like that. And that's what the dorm used to look like. Kind of a dual tower thing with a common area between it. And this was a fun dorm. I had a good time there. Always liked the balconies. Just a good men's dorm to live in back in the day. And right next door is Jekyll Theater. Saw several plays here when I was in school. In fact, I've always enjoyed going to live plays. My buddy Nate Hartman was in a couple plays. It was great seeing him back when I was going to school here. And recently, my wife and I have just been going down to the plays whenever we can. I forget the name of the play. There was one about Frankenstein. It was kind of a sequel to Mary Shelley's original Frankenstein. Really well done. And we enjoyed that quite a bit. The actors really hit it out of the ballpark, and it was a great story. There we go. Playing with Fire, that's what it was called. There's a little handbill for it. And we went down and we saw Urinetown a few months ago. And I don't like that musical. I've seen it before. I do not care for it. But I thought I would go and check out the Berea players and see if they could do justice to it. And they did a great job. Play and musical I don't like, but the actors really did well with it. That's the stage from the Playing with Fire play, by the way. That was the setup. But yeah, I've had some good play experiences at Jekyll Theater. And just a quick kind of pan around. Again, there's the dorm I used to live in, Danforth. I was told that they kept the staircases that were in the two towers, but sort of tore down the rest of the dorm and then rebuilt it. I haven't been inside though, so I'm not totally sure how that worked out. But Yeah, panning around there. You see Bingham, you see the back of Draper, the chapel back there. Pretty much a main building on campus there. We'll look at the front of it later. And then going over, the nice swings on campus. And there's the gym over in the background. And we're coming up on Dana. That's Dana, which was a men's dorm when I was there. And it has been rebuilt also, and I could not find an earlier photo of it. I never lived there myself. And you're right there, you're looking at Pearson's, kind of right there in front of you. Girls' dorm when I was there. And then Seabury Gym to the right. Always loved playing racquetball there. And Pearson's, you can see on the side there, which was basically in front of us, there's an elevator. They've added an elevator to that building. And there's a photo. I think I took that photo. I don't know. I've taken that photo in the last decade or so. But you can see the elevator on the left. And that was added later on. In fact, when I was there in the 90s, that was not there. I do not believe. And there is an old photo. Yeah, there's an old photo of the dorm, probably from the 1910s. Again, that's from Boone Tavern. A very attractive dorm, and I remember having friends that lived there. And check this out. This is a great old postcard. Man, 1910s, 1920s, I'm guessing. And you see Pearson's and Howard Hall. Legendary Howard Hall, which I think is just great. So I'm trying to visualize where Howard Hall would have been, one of the earlier dorms. And another great old photo of Howard Hall, again from Boone Tavern. They've got this great photo album. I was trying to get pictures of some of their pictures, and I got my shadow on it. But you can see Howard Hall there. And remember that little steeple at the top. Remember that steeple, because we're going to see it later. Named after Oliver Otis Howard of Civil War fame. And that links Berea to Howard University and also Lincoln Memorial University down in Harrogate, Tennessee. And now we're at the Draper Building, a very main building on campus. Had lots of classes here. Just a very significant building. Can't stress that enough. Just a lot going on there. Built in the 1930s. And it's a copy of Independence Hall in Philadelphia, which has almost become cliche at this point. But, anyway, there's a picture I took from the front. Probably within the last decade I took that picture. It is a beautiful building. But the design is just, you see it everywhere now. But it's a great building. There's a nice matted picture of Draper that's in Boone Tavern. Again, if you're on the campus, go to Boone Tavern. You should have lunch there anyway. But Boone Tavern is just a great place to stop in, just to check out old pictures like that. And there's an old postcard from my own personal collection. I believe that one was postmarked 1953. Just another beautiful linen postcard from the Berea College campus. And continuing our circle kind of around Draper, we're about to come up on the old science building. Yeah, there's what's left. Or actually, I guess they're starting to construct the new computer and media lab, I believe, where the old science building used to be. And the old science building was nice. I only had a couple classes there. I don't remember much about it. I want to say that they demolished it and were rebuilding it because of asbestos. I don't know if that's true or not, but I was thinking that, and it kind of reminds me of the Simpsons episode where Bart is running for student council, and his opponent is running on a platform of getting rid of the asbestos in the cafeteria, and Bart counters that there should be more asbestos, and he leads a chant of more asbestos. You can tell they're progressing here. I mean, there's kind of a ladder going into a hole. They've got quite a bit going on here. I'll be curious to see how it turns out once they've got the place up and running. And they've got some little banners there kind of showing off what the new place will look like. But at this moment, as of 2022, August, it's kind of a roped off hole in the ground. And which has kind of been a common sight around campus over the last few years. And there's a picture, man, I probably took this probably around 2010 too. There's a picture of the old science building when it was in good shape and standing on its feet. So yeah, there's the science building before they knocked it over. And there's a monument to John G. Fee, the founder of Berea College. And over to the right there, that was a residence hall for men. I can't remember the name of it at the moment, but I don't think it's a residence hall anymore. And over to the left of it, kind of beside it, yeah, there's that old steeple from Howard Hall, preserved over there. I think they've moved that around a time or two, but that is that steeple from that early hall, Howard Hall, which is kind of a cool thing to have still there on campus. And from here, we're going to kind of turn around and loop and hit a few buildings we missed on the way up. And these are more administrative type buildings. There's the Emory building. I can't remember what all goes on there, but I don't think I took any classes there. I think it was just mostly some sort of administrative kind of building. But I remember it, and I remember being in there, but I don't remember what I was doing. Oh yeah, and it's a bee-friendly campus. The campus is a little more buggy than it used to be, for what that's worth. And this is Lincoln Hall, which has been around for forever. And I remember we would get our checks here when they would pay us for doing our jobs. We would go here and cash our very small amounted paychecks. But we were all happy to have what we had. And just a little pan around the campus. And you're going to see a couple of older pictures of Lincoln Hall. Yeah, that one, I got that one out of Boone Tavern. I'm going to guess that one's 1910s-ish. And the other pictures are probably roughly in that area too, a couple postcards. A friend of mine, a young friend, I took them down to Berea with another friend who also graduated from Berea. And I told him the story. I was pulling their leg, and I said that Abraham Lincoln actually came down to dedicate Lincoln Hall. And my friend, who graduated with me from Berea, who should have known better and should have picked up on the fact that I was trying to pull a leg, said, "Wow, really? I didn't know that." So apparently I pulled his leg too. But there's some gorgeous old postcards of Lincoln Hall, and I love finding old postcards like that. Yeah, so check that out. And we're about to come up on the Frost building, which was used for classes. I know I had quite a few classes in there. There's the side of the Frost building. And we'll see the front of it here in a second. And we'll hear the chimes again, so I'll let you hear that. Yeah, I know we've got those chimes in there a couple times, but what the heck, I thought I'd leave those in. But there's the Frost building. Here's a couple of photos from Boone Tavern. Again, sorry about my shadow, but you can definitely see the building. I'm going to guess, again, 1910s is my guess on the era of that picture. And probably something similar for the next one. Yeah, I think that one was framed up at Boone Tavern. Just another cool picture. And it notes that that used to be the Carnegie Library. Originally, that was the library for the campus. And there's a postcard from my collection, and I think that's probably 1950s. Just a really pretty postcard there. And moving along, and we see little sidewalk art that's starting to fade, encouraging people to wear their COVID masks. Hopefully we're about done with that. And just because I'm on the other side of the street, there's maybe a nicer shot of Fairchild than what I had earlier. And we've already covered Fairchild, but there's another shot of it. And there's Boone Tavern from a distance. And like I said, I want to do a whole nother video on Boone Tavern. Right there on the left is their historic sign. But I thought I'd put a couple of postcard shots up of Boone Tavern. That one, I'm going to guess that one's probably from the 70s. I think that's from my personal collection. Just a nice black and white shot of Boone Tavern. That one is, I think that one's from my collection too. I want to say it's 1930s. But just another neat shot of Boone Tavern. And I love how it's evolved, but it still stayed the same. and it still looks great. And going down from Boone Tavern, still on the square, it's kind of nice how Boone Tavern and all these great little shops are all attached right in one little area. I've always loved this. But you can see Fireside Gallery, Peacecraft, Popolino's right there to the far left going around the corner, and Berea Coffee and Tea. And I've always loved Berea Coffee and Tea. And here are a couple of pictures from the 90s from my days at Berea. This little tapestry they used to have hanging up. A girl named Amy used to work there, and we would see her a lot. Me and my buddies would go there every Friday night after dinner and have coffee. I think it was like $1 for a cup of coffee, free refills. And check out those mugs. I'd sure love to have one of those mugs. That would be pretty cool. But yeah, those are some buddies of mine, and we would meet there about every Friday night. If you can name any of those people, I would love to hear from you. I do believe I remember most, if not all of them. But yeah, we would hang out there, and it was always a lot of fun. I do remember that Jean Ritchie would play there, and I remember seeing her in there a few times playing, and I never realized how big of an honor it was to get to see her in such a small place. And she is missed. Here's a couple pictures. I believe these are from 2010. Just a couple of other... actually, no, these are from... probably a couple of years ago inside of Berea Coffee and Tea. A real nice guy running the place these days. I haven't been in there in a year or so, but there used to, the last time I was in there was a really cool guy running the place who had a lot of heart, and was definitely keeping the vibe of the place going. But I've always loved Berea Coffee and Tea, and it was quite a hangout for me and my buddies back in back in the 90s. And I believe these are some pictures I took in 2010. So so it's definitely a surviving coffee shop, and I'm glad it's still there. If you have, if you have Berea College memories, let me know. But especially if you have some Berea Coffee and Tea memories, I'd love to hear from you. Just always loved that place. Very cozy. And we can move away from the main square a little bit as we go away from Berea Coffee and Tea. And there is Kentucky and Talcott Hall. That's a recent view. I was in there a few times going to school. I never lived there. I'd walk past it a lot. And, obviously kind of a big, massive structure for the campus. On the left was a men's dorm, on the right was the girls' dorm. And there's an old picture I found at Boone Tavern of it, and you can tell there was a little bit of a rebuild recently. But it definitely does look different there. So, and there is a Log House Gallery. That's a cute place, and to pick up a nice gift for someone you know. They have some nice stuff right behind there, and I should have gotten a video, but there is a new bookstore that has just opened up back there behind it. And there's an older picture from again from a Boone Tavern album, just to show you the difference there. Oh yeah, and here's when I was a freshman, I was at Blue Ridge. This is Blue Ridge. One of the most outdated dorms on campus then and now, and one of the most you gotta walk. If you live at Blue Ridge, you're gonna have to take a little hike to get to any of your classes. It's kind of off campus, and just thought I'd pan around to show you a little bit of the area there. And again, from Boone Tavern, I found this picture of Blue Ridge with an old dorm that's no longer there beside it. So that's kind of cool, showing you a change on the campus. And Blue Ridge has been there forever. That is one old dorm. And okay, yeah, we're gonna head on down on our kind of walking, driving tour of Berea. And we're going back over towards Boone Tavern in that area. Right there's the old Warren A. May Gallery and Popolino's to its right. Just wanted to do a quick driving shot going towards those two places, and then I've got some photos from those places over the last couple years. And yeah, the Warren A. May, he made dulcimers here at this little shop for forever. It seemed like he was there. I know he was there back in the '90s. I'm sure going back way before then too. But he made these nice dulcimers, and he was a friendly guy, and everybody knew him. And he moved out of this location not too long ago. There's a little candle shop there now, and the people in that place seem pretty cool. I like their candles. I like what they're doing. I think you can make your own candle there. It looks like a pretty cool little place. I don't have any pictures of it though, but I hope they do well. And this is shortly after Warren A. May moved out. I took that picture, and just a sad picture there to see his old shop empty and dulcimerless. And there was the very sad note on his door that he was no longer at that location. It just doesn't seem right that he is no longer there. He was there for forever. Again, I hope the candle place does well, though. And Papolino's, yeah, this is a picture I took in 2010, and I believe it's before they did their expansion. You can kind of look over to the right, and that area looks kind of bricked up, so I think that was before they took over the shop beside it and opened up some more space. Love Papolino's. I've always loved it. This is my favorite pizza in the world, hands down. And just a pepperoni pizza. I always get a pepperoni pizza there, and it makes me happy. It's just perfect. And my wife is big on their salad with chicken on it. She's healthy, and that's one of her favorite meals. So I just thought I'd put up a couple pictures of meals there, and a couple pictures of inside of Papolino's. And this little seating area, then the front area over by the cash registers has and to me just always been there. I remember sitting in this area when I was going to school, and this is the newer area. They expanded into there was a cute little shop here, and they took it over. I missed that old shop. They had some cute gifts, but glad to see Papolino's expand. And there was another pizza place in town, Mario's. I liked it too, but Papolino's by far my favorite. And just a couple more pictures, kind of random pictures of Papolino's. And from Papolino's, we're going over to some girls' residence halls. At least they were back when I was here. And that's Kettering. My wife actually lived here back in the day, and they have rebuilt that one also. And they knocked it down. In fact, here's a couple pictures I took, kind of in between the old dorm and the new dorm. It used to be Kettering and Danforth were basically identical dorms. And they both had kind of a twin tower design, and then a commons area in between them. And of course they've rebuilt both of those dorms now. And yeah, but that's what it looked like when it was knocked down. There's Seabury Hall. I'm pretty sure it was a women's hall back in the day. I just didn't really know anybody. I'm sure I was in there a time or two, but I just don't remember much about it. And then there's James. That's James Residence Hall, which actually is a very attractive hall. There's a tree kind of blocking things out, and it's right next to Seabury, and it's right next to Kettering. But James, I think, is really attractive. There's an old photo from Boone Tavern of James that I think is very nice. I've got an old postcard of James also. And yeah, look, yeah, there we go. There's an old postcard, I believe, from the 50s. And that really, I think it kind of shows things off for that residence hall. And then there's a newer hall, I believe the Shin Residence Hall. And I know nothing about this one. It's been built since my days at Berea. Looks nice though. I'll leave you with just a short video of us driving. We're pulling out of the Boone Tavern parking lot. There's Union Church in front of us. Could have done a little bit on Union Church too there. It's a bit of an institution. Boone Tavern there on the right. Alumni building coming up on the left. And if you go down, if you're walking and you go down on the right there, you'll walk past Berea Coffee and Tea. And that next corner, you'll be at Papolino's. But we're sort of driving right through the main part of campus right here. Kind of dorms on the left and some academic buildings on the right. But yeah, there's a whole lot more we could have covered. There's actually a couple of other dorms, kind of off campus, that I didn't quite get to, but I really didn't have any old pictures of them. And since we're well over 30 minutes, I thought I would try to keep this short. But yeah, so that's pretty much the campus. President's House is on the left coming up here. Phelps Stokes is on the right. The art building is on the right. And the music hall that we saw earlier is kind of on the left. And coming up ahead is, up on the left there used to be Roby Books. The library is coming up here too. Of course, Mexican Hardee's, which I think I've talked about that in other videos. Right there on the left, it used to be a Hardee's. It's been a Mexican restaurant for several decades now, and it's a really nice place to stop. The Roby Books, the library. Anyway, yeah, so there's just a little video on pretty much the Berea campus, a little bit of town. I hope you enjoyed that. If you've got any memories. Oh, Native Bagel is up here. The old location is right there on the left. The new location up here on the right. Great place to stop. I think they make their own cream cheese. It's good stuff. But yeah, so that's Berea. I hope you enjoyed that. If you've got any Berea memories, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks a lot.